congratulations first.
Oh, thank you very much.
We're all so thrilled at that performance.
So are we. I tell you, when you say you like it, it's like our child.
Do you know, people were trying to get through to the Schubert Theater today, and the phones are busy all day long.
Oh, isn't that nice?
So I guess it's a sellout.
I hope so.
Was it a particular thrill for you, Dorothy?
The whole thing has been a particular thrill. It's been like a dream come true, and like Alexis was saying, it's so rich in every department that everybody warned me that I was going to be bored, you know, after 3 months. Oh, you're going to be tired and want to get out. And it's joyous. You find new things. You never get tired. Of course, I'm on stage all the time, and that sounds like an ego trip, which I don't mean.
You're very seldom off the stage.
But I never get a chance to wait around the wings and get bored, like, you know, some people might. Not in our show, but in other shows. And I just love everybody involved. I'm so happy.
Well, now, you don't take this strangely, but it is true.
I will, then.
No. Yeah, right on the line. I shouldn't have done that. But it's terrific to see a television singer, a television baby, make it on the stage. Because for years they said, oh, television people, they can't work without cue cards, and they stand perfectly still.
Listen, I'm so overjoyed that I don't have to wear a blouse and tie.
I know. For years we saw a hit parade and she was covered up to here. And
I didn't think I could do anything else but that. You know?
The rumor always had that somebody had thrown acid on you, and you were hiding all that.
Acid?
Where did it go?
No. Battleship tattooed on my chest was the best story.
Yeah. I heard it was an aircraft carrier. I heard of it.
I was in fire. You know, people love to imagine that there's some secret reason why you do things consistently. And wearing a blouse and tie and high neck dresses was a consistent thing with me because American Tobacco wanted the image, and they liked that look, and they said, okay, that's it. So I couldn't cut my hair for 8 years, and I couldn't wear anything. So we got so many letters that they said, well, you better, you know, expose your chest a little. So we did, but they believed that we had clever makeup. So if the people want to believe something, they're going to believe it. So.
Follies is not a show that a singer would step out on the stage and just do a couple of numbers and say some abstract lines. It's an actor's and an actress's show that you just can't be a singer. You've got to be a fine actor to be in it because there's so many emotions and so many things going on. Plots and subplots that are fascinating, and you're seeing people's lives being ripped open, and it's not easy to carry off. And sometimes you're in the middle of a conversation, and you don't even realize that they've gone into a song.
Yeah, that's what I love about it.
And that is what is so wonderful.
That's part of the genius, yeah. Right. It's so great, too, because you don't have time to think, oh, that song's coming up, you know, and I've got to prepare for that, and because all of a sudden you're singing, and Steve has a genius for putting words together with music that you never have to hold a word that lyrically is not going to make sense, because musically it does. He seems to be able to do the both and make them right, and you can tell a story and make it please you and him and them, hopefully. I think
people would think they were going to see Follies. We're going to see hundreds of chorus girls doing this. That's probably the most true portrayal of a cast and an era in theater that has ever been done. It's sad, and yet it's happy. How would you explain the plot?
Well, I think it mirrors life in that respect, you know. So how do you explain the plot?
Well, you
but it's a happening, you know. It really... Thanks a lot.
No, it isn't that complicated.
It's a happening in a sense. As if, you know, it's
the story of all these girls who had been great Follies stars on Broadway, and they came back to a theater because the theater's going to be torn down for a reunion. And from there, their lives are just exposed.
It unfolds in that evening, and they're caught up in the past and the present. And as I said, I think it's more a happening than a standard theater piece, you know, than a play, as one thinks it plays, which I also think makes it even far more interesting than, you know, the standard plot progression. Boy gets, loses, meets, but gets, loses girl, you know.
The interesting thing that you can't anticipate who's going to like what or what the group is going to like. But before we opened, we kind of thought that the age group from 40 or 50 would really dig the show, would really understand and identify with it, because that's the age group of the marriages that are exposed. And it's the college group that really come back. And they identify themselves as college freaks. And I've joined that club, the Follies freaks rather, because you have to see the show more than once, I think, to understand, to see everything, because it's so rich and full of exciting, wonderful things. You're following the story in this beautiful 6-foot lady who's the ghost of a Follies lady in the past. You watch her, and then you come back to the story, and you may have missed a little. So come back twice or 3 years.
Yeah, so Dorothy has a fan in New York, Mr.
He's
Owens.
here.
Is Mr. Owens
He
here?
called me today.
Who has seen
Who's
it how
Mr.
many
Owens?
times?
66 times.
He has. Now, he adores Dorothy. I said it's one thing to come and see her 66 times, but he has to sit through the rest of us 66 times.
66
Isn't that
times.
wild?
Isn't that lovely? And, you know, I thought he'd be rather unreasonable or kind of strange. And he's a very reasonable man. And
Except when it comes to Follies.
yes, and then
But when you talk to him, what does he say to you?
he knows everything about the show, and it's usually, I'm going to have dinner with him tomorrow night after the show. That's the first time.
Come, tell your husband.
Oh, he knows.
I'm sure there's no-
and he has a lovely wife, and it was so funny because it was difficult because Alexis and I were both up for the Tony Awards. But when I lost, he sent me a letter, and he put a black border around it. Like he was in mourning.
Does that still happen once in a while? In New York, where notes are sent backstage?
Oh, you mean from the stage door, Johnny kind
Yeah.
of thing? Do you mean that? Oh, yes. Yes, lots of
Isn't that
notes
nice?
and flowers. And I haven't seen any. Did you get any diamonds? I haven't seen any of
No.
that. Like they do in movies. No, none of that.
Do you ever meet the people who send the letters and
On
flowers?
occasion, yes. This gentleman, I know there was a young man, a college boy again, who wrote me a note that was just so exceptional, and I was so impressed with his ideas of the show and reaction to it and everything. And I asked him backstage when he came to see it again, because and so it depends, if it's something that, in my case, I don't know, I can't speak for Dorothy, but if it's something that really, that really impresses you, I don't know.
Well, this may be a naive question, but when a show like yours, with such strong performances by all the leads, is a hit on opening night, and then you get those great New York reviews, do your lives change personally in New York City? Do you suddenly see people paying more attention to you and
Get better tables or
better
restaurants.
tables, and people wanting to meet you and
And you can
photograph
get
you?
into movies free or ahead of the line. Oh, yes, it's very valuable.
Parties?
Yes.
Are you invited to many more parties than...
Oh, I think so, don't you, Dorothy?
I think Alexis had it even more than I, but the problem I had was that I just got busier and busier and less time with the kids and Ron, and that bothered me. But, it's exciting. My goodness, it's...
You really feel that you're in a hit, in other words.
Indeed.
You
Yes.
know right away.
Yes. And it's a glorious thing after rehearsing for 6 weeks and not really knowing whether it's going to, until that first night, whether it's going to gel or not, but particularly this piece, because it is unusual.
Do other producers come and say, you'd be right for this, and I want you for this? And...
What you mean now as a result of,
Right.
Yes, there's been talk about other shows, but we have all been involved in it signed for a length of time, so of course we were not as free to do anything other than this.
When you're not on that stage at the Shubert, how do you keep busy? Do you have things away from...
Dorothy. I just went, yes.
Do you sleep all day, or...
Oh, yes.
No. There's a difference of opinion.
Are you out mowing the lawn? Are you gardening? Are you...
No, I've been in New York, and I didn't have a lawn
No.
to mow in New York.
Alexis is marvelous, though. She's the most disciplined human being I think I've ever known. Because if I have to do a show and it requires dancing, then I'll bone up on the dancing, but I wouldn't go to classes, and Alexis does. That's,
You still go to classes?
I admire that.
Dancing classes?
She has for years. It's
Singing?
not- Yes.
Isn't
I'm
that
queer
good?
for taking lessons, you see, so it's not really anything to admire particularly.
Oh, I think so.
Well,
And are you taking, even though you're a star in the show and you're a hit, you still take lessons?
oh, yes.
Yes, that's good for all of us that are buying those tickets, isn't it? To know that you're studying.
You have to see, but I mean, it's like when you don't have the job and you don't have anything imminent. I mean, that's, you know, I've got to do this for this. She still studies, you know.
Because I'm here for taking classes.